have your pattern paper to cut your basic bodice, and then this is the pattern paper here on a single file. Okay, so on your pattern paper you are going to draw a vertical line on your pattern paper, and then you need your horizontal line. This your vertical line, you will be getting your vertical measurements on this your vertical line, and then for the horizontal you'll be getting your shoulder measurements, where you also have to cross to get your armhole measurement. Okay, like I mentioned, you'll be needing your vertical points on that vertical line. You'll be needing your bust line, that's where you measure to get your bust circumference line, and that's where you also measure to get your under bust circumference line. That's where you measure to also get your waist circumference line. That's where you measure from to get your hip circumference line. So this is what you do after getting your vertical lines: vertical, horizontal. You come and locate where your bust line will fall on. You come and locate where your under bust line will fall on to. You locate where your waistline will also fall on. How do you get to know that? Okay, so in our previous tutorial, I showed you how you can take an accurate body measurement and what you will need to get an accurate body measurement. I'll be linking down in the description that video in the description box of this same video, so you go and watch that and take your accurate body measurement if you have not done so. So when you get all those measurements, you want to come here, draw your vertical line. After drawing your vertical line, you draw the horizontal line. This is your vertical line, this is your horizontal line, and this vertical line, that's where you'll be getting the points on your vertical body measurements. So the first one you will get is your bust line. And how do you get your bust line? From the measurement I showed you in our previous video, the bust point is where your bust line will be. That's your bust point, your shoulder to bust point. What it is, you measure it straight down with your tape rule. For example, my own is 11 inches, and this is the point here, 11 inches. I'm going to draw that line straight on the horizontal. And how do you get to make it very straight? It is fine if you can measure the same point, that is 11 inches from your shoulder line downward, 11 inches, just the way you did it here. Do the same thing here and make a point there. Then you now use your ruler. You use your ruler to join them together to get an accurate straight measurement here. Okay, so you do the same for your under bust measurement. You get your shoulder to under bust where the point is, and then you can also try it here to get the straight line point too. The same thing for the waist measurements, your shoulder to waist line, and then your shoulder to waist point. Then on the horizontal you get that same point here, connect it with your ruler to get your waist line. That's that. The same thing goes for your hip line. This is your hip line, your shoulder to hip line measurement, your shoulder to hip measurement. When you get to that point, try to locate the same thing to get an accurate measurement, and then connect it together here to get a very accurate one. So we have the lines here, hoping that you understand what I just explained here. For here, on that horizontal line that we have on the shoulder, we want to get our shoulder to shoulder measurement. And now you can see I've already sloped this place, and that's because our shoulder is not straight, but it's slopy. Human shoulder are made to be slopy, yes, not straight. To achieve this slopy line, from the shoulder to shoulder measurement on your back, which is 8 inches for mine, because my shoulder to shoulder measurement, by the time I do my measurement in, okay, so now I want to look at the shoulder part. This is your shoulder to shoulder measurement line on the horizontal. That's where you're going to measure it. So beginning from here, my shoulder to shoulder measurement that I measured when I was taking my body measurement is 15 inches. And you remember this paper is single actually, but when you want to place it on your clothes or your fabric, it's going to be on fold. So it's going to be times 2, not just a single file like this. You will fold your clothes and place this on it to achieve an accurate measurement. So half of that, my 15 that I got in my measurement is 7.5, and that's my shoulder to shoulder measurement, 7.5. But and this is 7.5 here on this point. Look at me do it. 7.5, and this is it. 7.5 on my tape rule. This is the point here. I added an half inch, making it 8 inches because of sewing allowance. By the time I join it with my sleeve, it will reduce a little by half. So I added an half inch. So at this point here, I want to measure my armhole. But before I measure the armhole, I will consider one thing. The thing I considered is that my armhole or our shoulder is slopy and not straight, because if we make it straight, the coat will be looking somehow. It will not relax on the shoulder very well. Human shoulder are made to be slopy. Because of that, I'll come down by 1 inch. From that line, I'm coming down by 1 inch, and this is it here, 1 inch. As you can see, I come back down by 1 inch. That was why I marked this point here, as you can see. So from that point, I'm going to get my armhole length. And what's my armhole length? How do I get my armhole length? There is a formula for getting an armhole length in sewing. Well, I'm going to make a video on that very soon, on how to get simple formulas to make your clothes very fast and easy and also accurate at the same time. So to get your armhole measurement, you are going to use your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. Your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 will give you your armhole length. This is your armhole length. From that point where you get the slopy area to this place is your armhole length. But you are going to add an half inch to that, to whatever you get. The bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 plus an half inch. What you get, whatever you get, you will add an half inch to it for sewing allowance. And mine, I got 8 inches, so I added an half inch with it for sewing allowance, and this is the half inch here. That's why I connected the line from here, this line from the slopy shoulder straight down, and then extended this line. That point, I extended the line on the vertical so as to meet the other side of my measurement. I extended the line of it, that line, by just 3 inches. You might need it more. You might need more of that later, but for now, we extended it by just 3 inches. Okay, so for the front, I marked the front and the back armhole together here, so that we can place this material on the back instead of wasting our brown paper or our pattern paper. So when we get the armhole length, now I want to make a curve inside a little so as to have a balanced shoulder after sewing. I will not want it to be puffy at the shoulder, and for years it has really been working fine. If you remove it, remove 1 inch from the armhole length. So to avoid the bulky parts, you need to, from that armhole line, that armhole on the straight line, measure 1 inch inside. From that armhole line, measure an inch inside, and after measuring an inch inside, give it a point. Mark the point, then connect with your curvy ruler. Connect it with your curvy ruler, and an inch. You connect it with your curvy ruler. When you get to that point, try to make your ruler a bit curvy there to get the accurate accurately. So you curve it this way on that line. That's for your front armhole. And for the back armhole, instead of removing 1 inch inside, you remove just an half inch instead of 1 inch, because you don't want it to be like C shape at the back. You want it to be balanced. Don't forget something, guys. If you are sewing a dress that is going to be armless, that is not having sleeve, you have to remove like 1 inch from what you got from that your calculation earlier. So instead of my 8.5, if it is a sleeveless top or dress that I'm making, I'm going to minus 1 inch from it, so as to be firm and not be opening my armpits by the time I finish sewing my dress. I want it to be firm. I don't want it to be opening since it's not having sleeve. But if it is a sleeved one, just leave it this way at 8.5. And if it is sleeveless, like I mentioned, you need to minus 1 inch from everything that you thought. Okay, so guys, I have imputed the neckline, I've imputed the body shapes, that's our circumferences. You see then the bust line, the underbust, the waist, and also here is the hip line. Those are their circumferences. I've used them to form shape so that our time will not be too taken. But I have to explain to you how I got all of this. The standard measurement for the neckline is 3 by 3. That's 3 by wideness on the neck and 3 by depth on the neck. For the front measurements, for the front neck, 3 by width, 3 by length or by depth. You go 3 on the wideness, you go this way 3 inches, and then you connect with your curvy ruler. You draw those points and then connect with your curvy ruler. Good. So this is how you do it. But for the back is expected to be higher than the front. For the standard measurement, you use 3 on the width and 1 at the depth. 3 on the width and 1 at the depth. It also depends on the style you're making and how you want it, but usually the two of them will have the same width. That's the wideness, and then the depth might varies depending on your choice. Even this might be wider than this. It depends on your choice, but the two of them must meet at the same point. Don't forget that, guys. Okay, so for the body measurement now, the circumferences for the bust, that bust line, I use my bust measurement, which is 40 is my bust circumference measurement. So I divided it by 4. That 40 inches, I divided it by 4 because my material is folded, and I'm going to also cut the back folded too. My bust divided by 4, which is 40 divided by 4, will give me 10 inches, and this is 10 inches here at this point. Guys, can you see? At this point we have 10 inches. So I'm going to mark 12 inches. I'll make sure I have 2 inches allowance to that 10 that I have here. This is my exact measurement. I added 2 inches sewing allowance here, and then for here too, which is my underbust circumference. My underbust circumference is 36, and if I divide it by 4 too, I'll get 9 inches. This is where my 9 inches gets to. That's my normal body measurement. But now, because of the sewing allowance, I extended it to 11 inches. I added 2 inches allowance at this point, and then I draw the line, like I mark that point. Then the same thing goes to the waist. The waist measurement, this is it here. My waist measurement is 38. I have 38 as my waist measurement. So 38 divided by 4 as well is 9.5, and that's why I'm getting this point, 9.5 at this point. And so I added 2 inches allowance sewing allowance, that's making 11.5. I marked the point as well. I did the same for my hip. My hip measurement is 42 inches. 42 inches, I divided it by 4, and that gives me 10.5. And this is the point here, 10.5. I added 2 inches sewing allowance, that gives me 12.5 or 12.5, as some people will call it. Instead of half, they use 0.5. After getting those points where the sewing allowances are, I connected those points together. I connected them together this way. I connected them together. That's why I got this shape here. Guys, I think you can see it. So another thing is, you can decide to extend this line to meet together. Just extend it a little upward, and then this one too, you extend it this way to join them together, just to know exactly where you will cut. So that is it for the front bodies. That is it for the front bodies. Now I want to cut it out. Let me cut it out. And remember, I said we are going to use the front body to measure the back bodies. Let's cut this out. Use the front measurement. If you are sewing a gown, this is for the top, so to speak. If you are sewing a gown, you can easily measure the length you want for the gown, and then keep extending this downward to make your dress downward. We'll be making dresses thereafter, but we just want to make this at least for a start. So you cut from those lines you have. Remember, we want to cut the back one first, and because of the neck that we have at the front, let's bring out the back one first, most especially for the neckline that we have. So thereafter, we can now easily bring out our front parts. Watch, guys. See as I'm doing it. I'm cutting it out. Cutting it out. So, like I said, this is the line for the back. This is the one having 1/2 inch. So follow that same line. Follow that line. Follow that line. Follow that line. Yes, this is our back measurement. Still go straight to the slopey parts. Guys, I hope you are seeing it. Then when you get here, try to cut out the neckline for the back, and this is the higher part of it. The highest one is the neckline for the back. Guys, I hope you can see it. This is the pattern we want to use to cut out the back measurement. The back will be needing zip allowance. For example, I've already drafted my zip allowance, and I gave it 1.5. My zip allowance, I gave it 1.5. This is it, all through, straight down on the vertical, 1.5. All through, straight down from the vertical, 1.5 inch. So make sure your hand is straight, and that is the horizontal line. You want to make sure the front pattern you cut that we want to use to achieve the back, you place it on that line, this line, on the zip allowance line, and then don't allow it on the zip allowance line, and then don't allow it to go beyond that horizontal line. Let it be at the same point, on the zip allowance at the same point, on the shoulder too at the same point. Try to make it accurate, just this way, like so. So you have it this way. You have it this way, guys. Check the downside if it is aligning. You have it this way. Okay, so now I want to cut out the back shape. The back, both of them have the same size, so I'm cutting. The only difference is that this one is carrying zip allowance, and that's why I came to place it on another pattern paper, just like so. So make sure you cut accurately, hold your material very well. As a beginner, if you know you cannot hold it very well, try to pin your pattern paper down. When you drag it to yourself, don't remove your hand, don't allow your hand to shake, in order to get something accurate. Remember, we have cut out the neck before now, as you can see. So I'm cutting out the back neck already, exactly this way. So the downside is what is remaining. On that same line, I'm cutting the excess out. Remember, if you are cutting it for a down, like a straight down, you need to go down a bit to the length you want. So this is it, guys. This is the front pattern and this is the back pattern. Okay, so this is your front pattern, but remember that for the front, because we use the front to cut the back, you need to cut out the front armhole. You remember, this is your front armhole. Don't forget, guys, the front armhole will be a little curvy or curvier than the back armhole. So this is your front armhole here, and then you want to cut out the neckline. The neckline that we gave the front the other time, this is the time you want to cut it out now. This is the neckline for the front. So you have your front pattern here. You also have your back pattern that is carrying the zipper. Both of them are complete here now, and that is it, guys. So if you want to sew your clothes, just place this pattern. If it is your measurement you use, fold these excess parts where we use and write our parameters, that half inch. Fold your cloth into two, place this pattern on it, and just cut it out straight. That's all. Cut it out when you have your front. By the time you open it to be double, and then do the same on another fabric and cut your back pattern out. So guys, that is that for the bodice.